Welcome to Brick by Brick, Building Wealth Through Homeownership. I am Kim Von Dohren, your realtor.
And I'm your banker, Ed Marko. So we've talked about budgets and a lot about money and where it comes from, but I've had a lot of people ask, how do you save? Where does it come from? What is saving? How do I actually do that saving thing?
Yes. So saving, why save, right? So there's a couple different reasons we want to save. We want to save for emergencies. We want to save for goals, short and long-term goals. And more important than ever, we want to save for retirement.
Right.
So those will be the reasons we want to save. And then how do we save for those different types of things? And we can just extrapolate a little bit about each one of those as well. So probably simply and most importantly, emergencies.
Right.
Right. Let's talk first about emergency savings.
Mm-hmm.
And it used to be that they would want us to save at least 3 months' salary, or said another way, 3 months worth of living expenses, so that if you had a job loss, for example, you could continue to live for 3 more months and find another job without having to change your lifestyle in any way, correct?
Or borrow money from your parents.
Yes, or anyone for that matter, or live off your credit cards. And so I'm just going to read a little statistic.
Yeah.
Okay. In 2023, over a third, 37% of Americans could not cover a $400 emergency in cash or its equivalent, a Federal Reserve report found.
Wow.
This is the same as it was in 2022, but a bit higher than it was in 2021 when it was 32%.
So it's getting worse.
Correct. So that's a little shocking to me.
Right.
I mean, they used to use $1,000. Like most people wouldn't have $1,000 expense. Now people don't even have $400.
Right.
I don't even know what emergency costs $400. A car? I mean, most car repairs cost more than that even.
I'm sure that's over $1,000. I mean, you can buy a tire or two for $400 if you're driving a relatively inexpensive small wheeled car. You know, you can't be driving a Jeep and get a tire for $200 anymore.
No, and certainly not all four.
Right. Oh yeah.
Not sure. You could buy them, but then you can't have them installed.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, $400 is really nothing. And I'm not saying that in a way to disparage anyone who doesn't make a lot of income. I'm saying that in that the cost of living has escalated dramatically. And so the cost to do just about anything is much higher than it's ever been. And so $400 is not going to buy you much in an emergency.
Right.
So having said that, we want people to aspire at the very least to work towards having 3 months worth of living expenses, just to at least have a cushion.
So how do I go from I can't afford 2 tires to I don't need to work for 3 months if I don't have to?
Slowly. So if you have a very tiny margin, or maybe you think you don't have any margin at all, meaning what I earn and what it costs me to live, I'm barely making those two numbers equal one another.
Yeah, I'm living hand to mouth here, and you want me to put money in the bank.
Right. So then I would have to make a couple of suggestions. The first place that I would say to go look is start with your budget. If you don't have the means by which you can increase income, because the only 2 levers to control are income and expenses. That's right. It. Those are the only 2 levers. And that is true for all budgets. I always say that because when people are thinking about like the federal budget and balancing the federal budget, I mean, at the end of the day, there are only 2 levers in anyone's budget. And that is you can either increase income or you can decrease expenses. And if you don't have the means to increase your income, then you have to decrease expenses. So how do we decrease some expenses? So first, start to look at what your expenses are, and then how do we reduce some of those? So what are some common ones, Ed, that we've talked about that maybe you want to take a look at now?
So I see a lot of budgets for people, or I see their spending habits when they're getting ready to buy a house and trying to get financially fit for that. And I always see the 3 or 4 big pitfalls. Number one is dining out and alcohol or other recreational habits. Recreational habits. They're either eating out 3 or 4 days a week, they're consuming alcohol or other recreational drugs, legal or illegal, and gambling.
Mm.
I see those 4 all the time. And every one of those can be cut out completely. I'm not saying you have to cut it out completely, but even if you take something like that and cut it in half, if you're spending, and you got to be on, I go right back to the same thing. Don't lie to yourself. You got to be honest with yourself, and you've got to be willing to make sacrifices to achieve the goals you're trying to reach. So even if you just cut that in half, instead of going out to eat 3 days a week and spending $150 on meals and entertainment, I'm only going to spend 75. You just found $75 a week.
Right.
That's a lot.
Agreed. I think it's reduction rather than elimination.
Yeah.
Elimination will create this feeling of deprivation, depriving yourself.
Right.
Then you get angry and
Yeah.
frustrated. So don't do that. Reduce.
Yeah.
And look for ways to do that. I mean, honestly, coffee drinks, and no harm to the coffee industry. One of my dearest friends owns a coffee shop, but the coffee drinks are expensive, and we have become the coffee nation, spending tons of money on coffee drinks.
Yeah.
Go every other day rather than every day to buy a coffee out.
Mm-hmm.
Also, just taking a look at some of your subscriptions.
Oh, yeah.
Streaming subscriptions. Do you need one for every single streaming place? You don't need them for every streaming place. Also, taking a look at some of your insurances. Do you need every single insurance? Do you need every single coverage that you have? Contact your insurance agent and say, do I need all of these coverages, or do I need these coverages to be this high? Just make sure that you're keeping yourself safe, but that you're not carrying coverages that you don't need. Also, there are credit counseling agencies out there that'll go over your budget with you, and they will help you make intelligent choices around what are things you could reduce,
Mm-hmm.
so that, we're not spending a ton of time in this podcast telling you what you should reduce. Someone's looking at your budget specifically with you to help you decide what are the things that are right for you to eliminate or reduce.
Right.
So having said that, those are some ways that once you eliminate or reduce some things, you can take that money, set that aside, and that becomes savings.
Correct.
And then you can save slowly till you have 3 months worth of living expenses. Then when that is saved, set that aside, then start using the money, continue to save it now for short-term goals. That's the next 2 years. Maybe it's a vacation. Maybe it's a wedding. Who knows?
Right.
Right. And then also start saving for retirement.
Retirement.
Amen.
That's a biggie.
Yes. Now, what's one of the biggest benefits that you get from savings? By putting your money into an account, what happens over time?
So you're going to put your money when you have $100, nobody's going to pay you any interest on it. But when you have $1,000 or more, you can generally put that money into an interest-bearing account. The nice thing about interest-bearing accounts is the first month it pays you interest on the money that you've deposited. The second month it pays you interest on the money that you deposited, plus the interest that you earned the previous month. And that happens every month. It compounds, hence the term compounding interest. So this is when people say, wealthy people make their money work for them. That's exactly what starts to happen, is that little bit of money that you have starts making money from the money that it made, and that compounds every month. So as an example, without running through all of the math, if you deposited $1,000 at roughly 5% into a 1-year CD, at the end of 1 year, you would think you'd have $1,050. You would have gotten 5% interest on that $1,000. But in reality, because of compounding, you will have about $1,056. That's a really small example. And some people laugh and say, $56 is nothing. It's $56 that you earned doing nothing.
Right.
Nothing. Multiply that out over the course of, say, a 35-year work history, you can have a little bit of money.
Right.
So we'll call it some money. It'd be a lot more than some, but we'll call it some.
Right. Which is part of what happens with retirement savings.
That's an even bigger one. That's just my biggest pet peeve with people everywhere. They're in their 20s and they get their first, we'll call it real job. And that real job, I don't care if your real job is working at a local grocery store, working at McDonald's, or working at IBM as a engineer at $500,000 a year. It just doesn't matter. If the company that you're working for offers a 401k with matching funds, you need to maximize the match. Just as an example, if you're uh, most companies do a matching funds up to 2 or 3%. So if you put in 2 or 3%, they'll match that with another 2 or 3%. Some go as high as 5. Say they're doing 5, they'll match 5 and you put in 5. That's 10% of your income being saved and you're only putting in half of it. That's $5 out of every $100 that you receive as paycheck. You won't even miss that money. You won't miss it. I don't care how high you're earning or how low your earning is. That is a variable on your local taxes. It's not worth it. Plus, most 401ks, money comes out before tax. So it's going to save you money on your taxes at the end of the year. You absolutely must do this. If you save just 6%, if your company puts in 3 and you put in 3, you start doing that when you're 20. When you hit age 65, you will have an awesome retirement. Not an okay retirement, an awesome retirement.
Yeah.
If you save 10% of what you earn during that same period through 401ks and other things like that, you will have a rock star retirement.
I always used to say when I taught financial education in schools, I always used to say to kids, who wants to be a millionaire? Well, every hand in the classroom goes up. And I always used to say to them, the easiest way to become a millionaire is to start contributing to your retirement account, your 401k, from your very first job in your 20s all the way until you're 67 now, because you can't retire till at least you're 67.
Right.
And you will be guaranteed to be at least a millionaire by the time you retire.
Right.
Yes.
You don't have to be a millionaire to have a decent retirement, though. If you're 50 and you've never saved any money and your company that you work for now has a 401k, tomorrow morning, call HR and say, I need to set up my 401k. And if you do that for 15 years at the maximum that they'll allow, you'll still have a decent retirement.
Yeah.
I promise you. You'll still have a decent retirement.
Yes. Because, I mean, you're getting a it's like a triple benefit.
Yeah.
You're contributing your money.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one thing. So,
Mm-hmm.
you're taking your own money and you are investing it,
Mm-hmm.
which will yield a benefit that grows. You are getting a tax benefit because it's reducing your income. And you are getting an employee contribution, which will also yield an additional amount because it will grow as an investment as well.
Yeah, I can't state enough. That's free money.
Yes.
It's free.
Yes.
Nothing's free except that. That's free. It's
So,
free money. It's
yeah,
like
it's
like a
amazing.
2 or 3% raise that you don't have to pay taxes on. It's
Yes.
free.
Yeah.
You got to take
It's
advantage
amazing.
of that. Yeah.
So, yeah, I would absolutely agree that it is a waste if you are not utilizing the employee match for your retirement account. And the sooner you start it, you just learn to live without it. And it is, like you're saying, it's just such a small amount of money. Even if you make a lot of money, especially if you make a lot of money, you won't notice it.
Right. Yeah.
So please, at a minimum, do that for yourself.
Yes.
So these are just a couple of ways we're talking about saving. We hope that for your sake, you'll start to consider doing some of them. And if this conversation created any questions for you, please feel free to email us questions or send us a question in a comment. And please don't forget to like and subscribe on the outlets that allow that.
Yes.
And thank you so much for listening.
Until next time, I'm Ed Marko.
And I'm Kim Von Dohren.
You have been listening to Brick by Brick. Be sure and subscribe, post questions for future episodes, or comment. This is a Super Squirrel production, Super Squirrel Studios, Stony Creek Mills, Pennsylvania.